my highest obligation is to ensure the safety and security of the American people.
The Trump administration wants to add smaller tactical nuclear weapons as part of its nuclear posture review.
Welcome to the 2018 Nuclear Posture Review rollout.
It reverses a trend started at the end of the Cold War to shrink the number of weapons and the sites where they're stored.
If I want to locate the U.S. nuclear arsenal, where is it right now?
America's nuclear arsenal is surprisingly easy to locate just using Google Earth.
Hans, you're way ahead of me here. I'm still getting to Minot Air Force Base.
M-I-N-O-T.
Hans Christensen is a nuclear weapons expert at the Federation of American Scientists.
There's a Minot Air Force Base up in North Dakota, sort of more or less in the middle of the state. That's a big Air Force base that has 2 strategic nuclear weapon systems.
He took me on a desktop tour of where the U.S. keeps its current weapons, including Minot's fleet of B-52 bombers.
I mean, you can actually see them right on Google Earth. It's right, there's a whole bunch of them waiting out on the tarmac.
Yeah, it's a busy base.
Before the last review in 2010, the U.S. kept nuclear weapons at a bunch of sites around the country. Minot was once on high alert.
If you look at the southeast end of the runway, you can see sort of a pattern of parking spaces that sort of looks like a Christmas tree. That used to be the alert area where the bombers would be until 1991. They would stand there with nuclear weapons on board.
Now the Air Force runs a few bases with bombers and intercontinental ballistic missiles in Wyoming, Missouri, and North Dakota. The Navy arms submarines in Georgia and Washington State. Christensen says most of the rest of the weapons, including weapons waiting to be dismantled, are in an underground facility barely visible from the air, across from a golf course outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Under that storage facility, or in that storage facility, you have several thousand nuclear warheads that are stored.
The sites are easy to find for a reason, partly because of nuclear arms agreements, though this is also part of nuclear deterrence.
You need to tell people that you have them. You need to demonstrate and visualize that you have forces that are operating that are credible.
The virtual tour barely stops in California. During the Cold War, California was among the top 4 states housing nuclear weapons. Naval Base North Island in San Diego was one of the last places that the Navy housed nuclear-tipped Tomahawk cruise missiles. The smaller weapons were placed on attack submarines before the U.S. retired almost all low-yield weapons after 2010. It's these so-called tactical nuclear weapons that the Trump administration wants to bring back.
Classical conceptions of security.
Eric Gartsky with the University of California, San Diego, says the Russians worry about NATO's overwhelming superiority with conventional forces.
The threat of a small-scale, limited nuclear strike might intimidate NATO. And so that's the kind of card that they're willing to use.
Though for the U.S., Gartsky says smaller nuclear weapons could just make nuclear war more tempting.
What tactical nuclear weapons allow us to do is to go to and past the brink of nuclear war in places in which we're not willing to risk the fate of the nation.
Beyond the policy debate, Gartsky is trying to imagine where the new weapons might go. He believes the fastest way to get them into service would be to put them on board aircraft carriers, the way the U.S. did during the Cold War.
We could see the carriers that are based here in San Diego, possibly in the future, carrying nuclear weapons out to sea.
Another route is to put them back on attack submarines like the ones ported in San Diego and Norfolk. Though these experts caution that new weapons will cost millions, and even with congressional support, it could easily take a decade to put new nukes in the field. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.